My name is Yelena. I'm 32, and for 15 Christmases, I spent the holiday the same way, alone in my apartment, scrolling through photos of my entire family laughing together at my grandmother's beach house matching sweaters, inside jokes, champagne toasts like I never existed. Every year I asked the same question, why wasn't I invited? And every year I got a new excuse. The group text must not have gone through. We thought you were working. You're always welcome. Why didn't you just come? Once, when I was 23, I tried the just come idea. I drove to the Outer Banks without warning, heart pounding like a kid trying to prove she belonged. I knocked on the front door. My mother opened it and went pale, as if she'd seen something that should not be standing there. Behind her, I heard my sister Meredith's voice, sharp and clear. Did anyone actually invite her? The room went silent. 23 faces turned toward me, not warm, not surprised, just inconvenienced. My mother recovered fast, pasted on a smile, and said, "Of course you're welcome, honey." But the damage was done. I stayed one night. In the morning, I left before breakfast and never tried again. So the pattern continued. 15 years of being erased politely. Quietly, with a smile, then last January, my grandmother Vivian died. I didn't find out from my mother. I didn't find out from Meredith Dot. I found out from a Facebook post shared by a cousin I barely knew. A photo of Grandma smiling in her garden with the caption, "Rest in peace." Aunt Viv, I stared at my phone, waiting for someone to call to explain, to say, "I'm sorry," or even, "Are you okay?" No one did. The funeral was 3 days later. I drove 4 hours and arrived late because the time had been changed, and no one bothered to tell me. I slipped into the back row. My mother didn't turn around. Meredith glanced once and looked away like I was a stranger who'd wandered into the wrong building. After the burial, I tried to approach my mother. She was surrounded accepting condolences like she was the only one who had lost someone. "Mom," I said. She looked at me like I'd interrupted something important. "Yelena, you made it." That was it. No hug, no apology, no explanation. Just a statement like I'd shown up uninvited to a party again. 3 weeks later, I got a phone call that changed everything. "Miss Carter, this is Harold Finch. I was your grandmother's attorney." I didn't even know Grandma had an attorney. "I need to meet with you privately," he said. Then, after a pause, "And I was instructed to ask you not to tell your family about this call." My stomach dropped. "Is something wrong?" "No," he said gently. "Something is very right." The next morning, I sat in his office, old books, leather chairs, the smell of serious decisions. Harold slid a cream-colored envelope across the desk. My name was on it in my grandmother's shaky handwriting. Inside was a letter. "My dearest Yelena, if you're reading this, I'm gone." But before I left, I knew to make something right. You were the only one who never asked me for anything. You came because you loved me. So I'm leaving you everything. The beach house is yours. All of it. Do with it what you will. Just promise me one thing. Stop being invisible. My hands were trembling by the time I looked up. "The beach house?" I whispered. Harold nodded. "The deed, the property, everything. She prepared this years ago and updated it twice to protect against contestation. It's ironclad. The beach house, the place my family treated like a birthright. The place they celebrated in without me. The place my mother had been circling like a prize for decades. Now it was mine." Harold asked, "Do you want me to notify your family?" I thought about 15 Christmases. 15 years of being quietly pushed out of frame. And now, finally, I had something they wanted. "No," I said. "Not yet." For 11 months, I waited. I paid the property taxes. I collected documents. I saved every Instagram photo of them, using my house like it belonged to them. When my mother scheduled contractors to renovate the kitchen without asking permission, without knowing the house wasn't hers, I kept every invoice. She spent thousands improving an asset she no longer owned. In December, I made one more call, this time to the sheriff's office. "I'd like to report a potential trespassing situation," I said. "I own a property in the Outer Banks. I have reason to believe multiple individuals will attempt to enter without permission on December 24th. The deputy Marcus Webb asked if I could prove ownership. I have the deed, the will, tax records, notarized documents, I said. I've had 11 months to prepare. Christmas Eve morning, Deputy Webb reviewed everything at my dining table. Then he looked up and said, almost like he couldn't believe it, "You really own this place." "I really do," I said. "And they don't know?" "Not yet." At 11:47 a.m., the first car rolled up, then another, then another. 6 vehicles total. 23 relatives, luggage, food, decorations, children, running ahead like it was tradition, like it was promised. My mother led the pack, keys already in her hand. Meredith followed, directing people like a manager. "Put the big bags in the master bedroom," she said confidently. "Mom and Dad always take that room." My room now. My mother stepped onto the porch and slid her key into the lock. It didn't turn. She tried again, irritated, jiggling it like the house was malfunctioning out of disrespect. "What the Richard? The key isn't working." That's when I opened the door. I stood in the doorway wearing a deep burgundy sweater, the color my grandmother loved. Behind me, a fire crackled. The house smelled like cinnamon and cedar. My mother froze. For 3 full seconds, no one spoke. "Yelena?" she said, voice cracking. "What are you doing here? How did you get in?" "Good morning, Mom," I said calmly. "The locks aren't broken. They're new. I changed them." Meredith pushed forward, confused and offended. "You changed the locks on Mom's house?" "It's not Mom's house," I said. "It's mine." Her laugh came out sharp and disbelieving. "Don't be ridiculous. This is Grandma Vivian's property." "It was," I said. "It's been mine for 11 months. That's when Deputy Webb's patrol car rolled into view and parked nearby. Aunt Patty spotted him first. "Diane, why is there a police officer here?" Deputy Webb stepped forward, professional, calm. "Ma'am, I'm Deputy Marcus Webb. I've reviewed the deed and the will. This house belongs to Yelena Carter." My mother's face went pale. "That's impossible." I handed her a copy of the will. Signed, witnessed, notarized. Grandma knew exactly what she was doing. People began murmuring, confused, shifting. Some looked guilty. Some looked angry. Meredith stared like the ground had moved. Then I pulled out a stack of papers, one for each adult. "These are eviction notices," I said. "You have 30 minutes to remove your belongings from your vehicles. After that, if you're still on my property, you'll be escorted off for trespassing." The wind cut across the porch. Children clung to their parents. Suitcases sat abandoned on the gravel like the moment itself had knocked the air out of everyone. My mother exploded. "You manipulated her. You poisoned her against us." I didn't raise my voice. "I didn't need to. When was the last time you visited her, Mom?" I asked. "Not Christmas. Not when you wanted the house. When was the last time you came just to see her?" Her mouth opened. No answer came out. And then, finally, she said the truth. The ugly truth she'd been hiding behind excuses for 15 years. "Fine," she snapped. "You want to know why you're never invited?" "Because I can't look at you. Every time I see your face, I see him. Your father. That useless dreaming artist who ruined my life." The porch went silent. Even Meredith looked like she'd been slapped. And in that silence, I understood everything. Not because it excused her, but because it confirmed what my grandmother once told me. She doesn't hate you. She hates what you remind her of. I looked at my mother and felt something I didn't expect. Not rage. Not triumph. Just clarity. You couldn't forgive a dead man. I said softly. "So you punished the only part of him that was still alive." She didn't apologize. She didn't even try. So I turned to Deputy Webb. "Please give them 30 minutes. Then I want everyone off my property." The cars began to move. One by one, gravel crunching under tires. Tradition dissolving in real time. My mother stood rigid, staring at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Please, she whispered. You had 15 years to say please, I said. You chose silence instead. Then I stepped back into my house and closed the door, and for the first time in my life, being alone didn't feel like abandonment, it felt like choice.